Greetings, members of council, mayor, mayor pro tem, city manager, and the viewing public. My name is Megan Schneider, and I am the Water Conservation and Outreach Supervisor for the City of Oxnard's Water Division. This presentation is for declaration of a local emergency due to drought conditions, authorizing the city manager to take appropriate actions, and adoption of a resolution amending water conservation restrictions for the City Council meeting of May 17th, 2022. The recommendation is that the City Council adopt a proclamation proclaiming the existence of a local emergency due to water shortage emergency conditions and adopt a resolution rescinding resolution number 14741 and adopting new mandatory water conservation measures. California is experiencing a drought emergency following the 3 driest years on record. The California Department of Water Resources, DWR, had initially set the 2022 state water project allocation at 15%. However, after a historically dry start to the year with no significant storms in the forecast, a cutback was required. On March 18, 2022, DWR announced that state water project allocations would be slashed from 15% to 5%. 2022 will mark the second consecutive year of a 5% allocation. On March 28, 2022, Governor Newsom issued Executive Order N-7-22, which directs a number of actions in response to drought conditions. Among these actions are steps to increase water conservation and emergency regulations requiring all water providers to implement a minimum stage 2 of their water shortage contingency plans. Following the 5% state water project allocation update, Metropolitan Water District indicated that state water project dependent regions of its service area have insufficient supplies to meet current water demands. On April 27, 2022, Metropolitan Water District declared a water shortage emergency condition and implemented an emergency water conservation program. The conservation program framework includes 2 paths for member agencies to reduce the use of state water project supplies and achieve compliance with the program. Path 1 is to restrict outdoor irrigation to 1 day per week and document enforcement. Path 2 is to meet a volumetric delivery limit per month. There is a penalty of $2,000 per acre foot for purveyors that do not comply, with the enforcement period beginning June 1st, 2022. On April 6, 2022, Cayugas Municipal Water District declared a Stage 3 water shortage level and called on all water users within its service area to immediately reduce water use by 30%. On April 27, 2022, Cayugas adopted a resolution in line with that of Metropolitan, which declares a water shortage emergency exists, adopts an emergency water conservation plan based on and consistent with that of Metropolitan, so that's the 2 compliance options, and authorizes their general manager to amend the terms of the emergency water conservation plan to make it conform with any similar program adopted by Metropolitan. Based upon the current information available through Metropolitan and Cayugas, Oxnard's current average gallons per capita per day would not be below the threshold to avoid penalties under Path 2 for compliance. On average, the city purchases approximately 1,290 acre feet per month during the peak summer months from Cayugas, which would result in exceeding the volumetric threshold by roughly 690 acre feet per month. With a penalty of $2,000 per acre foot, this would result in roughly $1.3 million of penalties per month. Compliance Path 1, restricting water use to 1 day per week, is currently the best option. Oxnard's proposed actions include proclamation proclaiming the existence of a local emergency due to water shortage emergency conditions. With the approval of the two resolutions, council will be providing the city manager the authority to adopt drought stages and conservation requirements consistent with the city's urban water management plan and water shortage contingency plan, including transitioning from a stage 2 shortage level to a stage 3 shortage level, and or an emergency water conservation plan or similar program adopted by Cayugas and or Metropolitan. Rescinding resolution number 14741 and adopting a new resolution to stay in line with the mandatory conservation measures and actions. Additional conservation measures and updates from the current resolution are as follows. No more than once a week watering, odd number addresses watering Sundays only, even number addresses watering Saturdays only. Exceptions to allow for irrigation outside of the designated periods include the hand watering of trees or other perennials with the use of a container or a hose fitted with a shutoff nozzle, and 2, the use of drip irrigation or other high-efficiency irrigation systems to apply water at a weekly volume consistent with the one-day watering restriction. All vegetation within wildland urban interface and defensible space will be maintained as required under Public Resource Code 4291. Irrigation of ornamental turf on medians with potable water is prohibited. Residents, homeowners associations, commercial establishments, municipal customers, and schools are all required to follow the city's mandatory water conservation measures. As presented in a drought condition update at the City Council meeting of December 14th, the Oxnard Water Division will continue to take the following actions when water waste is reported or observed. For a first violation, a courtesy notice and educational letter is sent. Staff follows up 7 days post-letter with a phone call. For the second violation, a letter warning of penalty is sent. For a third violation, penalty is issued in an amount equal to 25% of the most recent utility bill or $25, whichever is greater. For the fourth violation, a penalty is issued in an amount equal to 50% of the most recent utility bill or $50, whichever is greater. For additional violations, a penalty or fine as deemed appropriate by the city manager until such time that the city manager determines that further violations are not likely to occur. The city is developing enhanced conservation and drought messaging by leveraging a variety of different communication outlets, including digital media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Nextdoor, print media, such as flyers, utility bill inserts, newspaper ads, and radio ads. In addition, emphasis on utilizing high visibility platforms throughout the city, including billboards, yard signs, digital street signs, banners, and environmental resources recycling truck signs, will take place to reach a larger target audience. Messaging will highlight the extreme drought condition, mandatory conservation measures, such as a 1 day per week watering schedule, and provide resources for saving water, such as rebates and incentive programs. Messaging will be created in English, Spanish, and Mixteca. The Water Division is establishing a water conservation and education hotline, which will be in place by early June. The hotline will serve as an easily accessible resource for Oxnard residents to stay up to date on current water waste restrictions, readily report water waste, and receive information on rebates and incentive programs. The hotline will be staffed during regular business hours with a voicemail prompt for after hours and on weekends. Staff will be implementing an in-reach campaign, training all city staff to report water waste violations, and will be utilizing Water Division meter reader staff as water ambassadors to report water waste violations during regular meter reading routes. City staff working on weekends, including parks and code enforcement, will be trained on reporting water waste. Additionally, the Water Division is also drafting a request for proposal to utilize an agency to patrol for water waste violations for after hours and on weekends. Currently, Oxnard is in a stage 2 water shortage level based off the prior 4-stage system, but plans on updating our shortage level after a water supply assessment is completed. Staff is currently working on the newly mandated annual water supply and demand assessment. Beginning in 2022, each April for the following water year, October 1st to September 30th, an annual assessment is carried out to determine if there is a need to implement the water shortage contingency plan and to what extent. Findings of the annual assessment will be presented to Council and the Community Development Department upon completion with a recommended water shortage stage and conservation actions. The assessment is anticipated to be completed by June. California's drought condition and recommendations from DWR are frequently changing, as well as the actions taken by Metropolitan and Cayugas. As such, the city must react and take quick action to ensure compliance as new information comes forth. In addition, quick reaction to this ever-changing drought situation also helps avoid penalties that may be assessed by regional water agencies in the state. This agenda item supports the Infrastructure and Natural Resources Strategy. The purpose of the Infrastructure and Natural Resources Strategy is to preserve and improve our roads, utilities, parks, trees, water supply, and natural resources through effective planning, prioritization, and an equitable and efficient use of available funding. There is no direct financial impact in receiving this report. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions at the council meeting of May 17th, 2022.